I want to open up today with a conversation. First of all, in case you don't know, I'm Dr. Marco Accordo. I am Morgan's chiropractor. We have a practice right in Greenbrier in Chesapeake, and I really love what I do. It's the best job in the whole world because I get to help people be healthier. So to open up our conversation, what is health? And just shout it out there.
Happiness.
Happiness? I love that. What's health?
Just being healthy.
In what ways?
Sleep, eating, taking care of yourself, working out.
Yeah, absolutely. What's health to you guys?
Mental and physical well-being.
Mental and physical well-being. Awesome. Yeah. Anything to add? Yeah, the state of your body and mind. Yeah, you guys having a really good idea of what health is. And what you'll notice is nobody had a single faceted explanation, right? Health is multifaceted. And there are a lot of different components to everyone's health. So I will give you the biological definition of health. We can start really understanding what's going on here. The biological definition of health is an organism's ability to maintain homeostasis in the face of stress or change. So, what on earth does that mean? Well, to bring that more down to earth into a more functional definition of what health is an organism's ability to maintain balance when things change. And things are changing all the time. The only constant in our world is change, right? Me taking a step is change. Me eating a salad, as healthy as a salad might be, is change. He's got to get his keys. He'll figure it out. Everything is change. Gravity pressing down on my body right now is change, and my ability to maintain balance in the face of that change and how well I can do that is health. Okay, so you guys are blessed to stand for a living. And the reason why I say that is because sitting is the new smoking. And not to get too far into the damaging effects of sitting, but you're healthier with a pack-a-day smoking habit than you are sitting for a living. It shuts off half of your body in terms of where your body needs to pump blood. So standing keeps your heart strong. Standing has a myriad of health benefits. And today, what we're going to do is I want to teach you guys how to stand so that you can be as healthy as humanly possible while you are standing. Because standing not the right way can cause a ton of problems. So, let's get back to balance, right? Question for you, is this a balanced posture? Everybody's shaking your head no. It is a balanced posture. I am upright. I am maintaining balance. However, that's not the best posture I could be in, right? I wouldn't call it a neutral posture because even though I am upright and my posture is balanced and keeping me up, I've got a hot spot here. This leg is locked out, bearing all of my weight, my shoulders slumped over. My spine looks like an S when I'm doing that. And because we're humans, and because humans are mammals, mammals always seek to be conservative of their energy. You can watch a horse in a field and they do the exact same thing with their legs and their hips that we do when we stand. For a while, they lean on one side. This takes less energy for me because my knee is locked and I'm only using one leg. And I'm using my joints to hold me up instead of my musculature and my posture. This takes more effort. So as a mammal, I'm not inclined to stand like this all the time. So, poor standing biomechanics can absolutely contribute to neck pain. And along with that neck pain, there's a lot of nerves that exit your neck, right? As heard of your spinal cord, right? The entire nervous system for your entire body exits your spinal cord. But standing the wrong way, right? If I start getting this posture that's really just not ideal, standing the wrong way can contribute to neck pain. On top of that, headaches, migraines, vertigo, seasonal allergies, Even anxiety and depression can come from standing the wrong way and improper neck posture. On top of that, you could start getting nerve pinch, numbness, tingling, burning into your hands, fingers, arms, you name it. As we go through the mid-back, right? Obviously mid-back pain for sure, but those same types of neurological issues can start radiating around your rib cage because all of those spinal nerves exit around in between each of your ribs, right? On top of that, cardiac issues can be a problem. Things like heart palpitations, tachycardia, or like, a super fast heart rate. And the list goes on. We look at the low back, right? That same type of nerve pain, numbness, tingling, burning can absolutely go into your lower extremities. In addition to that, just straight up back pain, foot problems, ankle problems, knee problems, hip problems, right? I named a lot of stuff, right? So show of hands, anybody deal with any of that before? Yeah, right? We're bipeds in a gravity environment. It's hard to stay healthy because we are constantly forced to adapt. We're constantly asked to change. So what we're going to do today is we are going to learn how to stand. And I want to give you guys some tips and tricks and lifestyle additions and maybe some lifestyle subtractions that you can put into your life to be healthier long term. Reading the audience right here, you guys are fairly young, right? Okay. Being young is awesome because you wake up and pretty much you feel awesome every day. It's great. The hard part about that is if I could go back and coach my young, like 20-something-year-old self, I would have done things very differently to set up my now 40-year-old self for a bit more success. So the first thing I want to talk about is footwear. We're going to start from the bottom and we're going to go all the way up. Okay? You guys are walking around on hard, beautiful, but albeit very hard and level concrete floors all day. That is not a natural footing for your feet, right? Our feet are designed to walk around on soft, uneven ground all day. So a couple of things. Biomechanically, our feet aren't challenged in a neurological way. Because if my foot steps and expects a hard, flat surface every time, it doesn't have to be that smart to figure it out. And then what happens? Well, Mrs. Jones is walking outside and there's a stone, hits the stone and breaks her ankle. Right? In a normal physiologic situation, a stone should never break Mrs. Jones's ankle. And here she is, right on cue. Right on cue. A stone should never do that. Your foot should send a message to your brain to then change your gait, and your foot should move around that ankle so you could, move around that stone so you could step no problem. Does that make sense? But we're never asking our foot to do that, so it just can't. So I would always recommend something with cushion. If you have sneaker type shoes, which a lot of you guys are rocking, I love to see that, just understand that those midsoles on those sneakers are made for maximum shock absorption, but they are not made for maximum durability. And they're usually donezo by about 6 months of use. So if your shoes are over 6 months old and you've got like an athletic tennis shoe trainer type thing, they're probably donezo at that point. So if you want your money to go a little bit further, I would absolutely recommend like a hiking type boot. Now it's not made for quite the level of absorption, but it's a lot more durable, so those can last like a year, year and a half, maybe sometimes 2. If you're wearing them every day, probably more like a year. The other thing you want to think about is your toes. Our toes are meant to be open. Our toes are meant to move. But all of our shoes now have a very narrow toe box because they look cute. But it is not healthy for your feet to be squished like that. That'd be like taking my hand and squishing it into this shape and then asking it to bend. So you can imagine if you take that and do that 100,000 times, right, those joints are going to start breaking down. They're going to start to die slowly over time. So these aren't like the greatest shoes ever created, but it took me a long time to find these. I wanted something with a wide toe box. I wanted something that was high top just because I like the way that that looks, and I wanted something with a little bit of cushion. Because like they've got a lot of those zero drop like minimalist shoes now that are great for a big wide toe box, but I walk around on hard concrete floors all day, so zero cushion is not a happy situation for my heels. And I was starting to feel it toward the end of the day with those very minimalist shoes, so I had to find a different solution. So pick your footwear conscientiously, and then later on in life, you're not gonna have the same types of foot issues. And then obviously, as much as humanly possible, spend time on soft, uneven surfaces with no shoes on. So the beach, an awesome place to develop foot strength and dexterity. Your backyard, a great place to go out there, ground, develop your dexterity, move your feet, and get your feet involved in your neurological calculations again. You know, when a baby is born, there are just as many nerve endings dedicated to their fingertips as their toes. And they can control their feet just as well as they can control their hands. So that tells us something there. If there's just as much nervous system material, hardware, and software dedicated to your feet, they're a really big deal. Our feet are an amazing sensory organ. They pick up information from the ground to tell us what's going on, right? But neurologically, because of our culture, we've kind of just like blunted that, so we can't feel it. You can imagine that nobody would be able to write their name with a pencil if their hand was taped shut in a soft cast since they were born, right? How well would you be able to use your hand? You wouldn't. And on the flip side of that, there are people that have lost the use of their arms or were born without arms that can do everything that we can do with our hands with their feet. From driving to brushing feet to writing, or sorry, brushing feet, brushing teeth. Yeah, driving to brushing teeth to writing. The human body is miraculous. So, beyond the footwear, I do want to talk about core work. So, we've all been sitting for a living since we were 5, right? They take us as nice, cute little kindergartners or preschoolers and sit us in a chair for 6 to 10 hours a day, and then off we go. Sitting is not the natural position for our spines. It's not the natural position for our legs. It's not the natural position for our feet. And what ends up happening is our core starts to get systematically disengaged. On top of that, we all drive or ride to work or school in some sort of a vehicle, right? Our commute's on average 20 minutes one way these days. When you're sitting in your car and that gentle vibration starts happening, in about 20 minutes, all of the spinal stability muscles in your spine have shut off. And it's not that you're doing it consciously or on purpose. That's just how it is. Neurologically, they just shut down. So, I always recommend that you start every workout with core work. A lot of the trainers out there, when I'm watching videos or hearing people talk, the program ends with core work. Okay, that's cool. For a strong core, that's cool, but your core needs to function for you during the workout, right? If I'm lifting weights, if I'm lunging, if I'm squatting, I want my core to be there for me to hold me up and maintain the alignment of my spine so that nothing goes wrong, right? Because our spine is not a column, right? It's not bones stacked on each other, because if it was, they would fall over when we go like this. But I can bend over like this, and I can tilt like this because the spine works with tension, and there are tiny little muscles that squeeze those little bones together to keep us upright. Make sense? Awesome. So I start my workouts with core, and I absolutely hit my core at least 3 times a week, because I want my core to be there for me so it can hold me up and move me around the way it's supposed to. And Morgan told me that you guys are actively working out, you're gymming. I love that. Start your workouts with a core routine. My gold standard is a 2-minute front plank, so front elbow plank, normal one, right? Then I switch to a side plank for 1 minute. The last 10 seconds of that, I pick my bottom foot up. I'll switch sides, do another minute, and then I finish up with a minute-long hollow hold, which is basically I'm laying on the ground in this kind of a position, feet off the ground, arms extended over my head. So it's a total 5 minutes, and that's the first thing I do before I do anything else workout-wise. All right, so the last thing we need to talk about is our pelvic floor. So technically, if we talk about the core is a barrel of muscle around your midsection, and the top of this barrel is your diaphragm, and the bottom of the barrel is your pelvic floor. So if I squeeze everything on the sides and I squeeze it on the top and I don't squeeze the bottom, it's gonna blow out the bottom, right? The pelvic floor is extremely important. It holds everything together. It literally holds your insides in. It's a big deal. And this might be graphic, but one of my goals for later on in life, when I'm an old man, is I am never going to need adult diapers. That is a goal. I'm not gonna walk down that aisle. That is so real. So keeping your pelvic floor extremely strong is super important for that. If any of you guys wanna have children at some point, having a strong pelvic floor before you get pregnant, before you give birth, will help you be able to do jump ropes after you give birth and not pee your pants. Like I said, it's graphic, but it is so real. So, to make sure that my pelvic floor is strong, I do Kegel exercises. And it's literally just like squeezing all those muscles that prevent you from going to the bathroom. And it's just super easy. You can do them wherever, whenever you want. The gold standard to work up to for that is 60 squeezes, and every 10th one you hold for a 10 count. Super easy. And if you're not doing Kegels right this second, you're not listening to the talk. All right, so for the rest of what I want to talk about today, guys, I'm gonna need you guys to get up and we need to kind of do this together. So where you're at right there, you can just stand, and we're gonna talk about how to stand the most right way so you can be as healthy as possible moving forward. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to do this. When I first started learning it, I was starting from the bottom and working my way up, and then by the time I got to the top, stuff kind of felt a little weird. And then probably like 3-ish years in practice, I realized neurologically our brain doesn't handle posture that way. Our brain handles posture from the top down. And everything our body does to compensate posturally, it does so to keep our eyes level with the horizon. So that's how I'm gonna teach it. And the first thing we need to talk about is head posture. Ideally, our ears should float right over our shoulders. But the problem with that is that your upper back, your chest, is the foundation for your neck. So if your chest is sunken and dropped like this, and if your shoulders are forward, it takes me a tremendous amount of physical effort to try and get my head back where it needs to go. That is uncomfortable, and it's not really correct. So the first place I always start is actually right here. And I pretend that I've got a hot air balloon with a string attached right to the front of my sternum, this bone right between your ribs. And at the top of that, Grant, you can probably hear that, right? Sorry, buddy. So attaching a string right here, I just imagine that there's a balloon lifting the front of my chest up. And what I'm doing is I'm using my mid-back muscles to elevate the front of my chest. So now if I go from this slumpy posture, and literally all I do is lift the front of my chest, look what happens. Well, that's way better already. I haven't even done anything else. So from here, once my mid-back is where it needs to be, then my next thought is, I don't want to force my head back, but I do want to try to balance my ears over my shoulders. I think about where the base of my neck is in space, and your body's ability to do that is called proprioception. It's why I can take this finger and touch it to this finger without even looking, because my body knows where it is in space. And developing that sense is absolutely key to maintaining good posture throughout the day. So that's the second thing I'm gonna think about. I'm gonna think about balancing my head such that my ears are over the top of the base of my neck. The next thing I wanna do is deal with these shoulders, because everything we do is here. Everything you guys do is here. Everything I do throughout the day, right? It's all here. So my shoulders are constantly rolled forward. We drive, we do this, well, more likely we do this, right? So you wanna make sure that your shoulders are engaged. So to do that, I simply just kind of take my shoulder blades and bring them together. I don't need to force that position because that's not natural, but I bring my shoulders up and back and then I just kind of relax into it a bit. So now from here up, I'm in really good shape. So now we got to deal with the bottom half. And a lot of times what happens is if we sit for a really long time, right, our body's in this position. Well, remember when I said that our body does everything we ask it to do, and it adapts to everything. It adapts to every situation we ask it to adapt to. Whether we're talking about foot binding or we're talking about sitting, it's the same. So in this position, do you see that these muscles right here are gonna get super tight long term? They're short. Do you see that these muscles right here are gonna get super lax long term? They're long. So long story short, this angle, my body has adapted to it. It wants to keep that angle. So when I go to stand up, reflexively, I'm actually like this. And then when I go lift up, my pelvis is still rotated forward. It puts an abnormal amount of stress in your low back. It puts an abnormal amount of stress on your hips, on your hip flexors, and everything in this area. So I gotta get my pelvis right. And what needs to happen is my pelvis needs to shift like this. The easiest way to do that is just squeeze your butt. There it is. Now you can't walk around with a butt that's squeezed all day, right? So use your stomach to hold your pelvis in that position and let your butt go. Can you walk around with a squeezed butt all day, Morgan? Is that what's going on here?
I don't plan on it.
So we want to use our stomach and our deep core muscles to hold our pelvis in that position. That takes pressure off my low back and it engages my pelvis. From here, I can engage my pelvic floor, make sure that stuff isn't spilling out where it's not supposed to be. This was a thing that I experienced. I don't know if anybody else has experienced it. When I was probably like a teenager, I had a job at a nursery. So not like a little kid nursery, like a plant nursery. Like we moved around like trees and potted plants all over the place. I did it forever. I loved it. But I felt like I could be moving and working physically all day and I was fine. But if my mom were to drag me to the store and I had to go shopping with her, my low back would start to hurt standing in one place. Anybody ever experienced that? The reason why is because our pelvis was in the wrong spot. And our body was hanging on our low back in this hyper extended position that's not really good for our spine. As soon as we bring that pelvis underneath us, engage that core and get ourselves standing the right way, all of a sudden you can stand like this forever. And you're like, oh wow, okay, I can do this. This could be a daily thing. Next thing, soften the knees a little bit. You want about 5 degrees of play. Your knees should be able to go like this with no problem whatsoever. And then your feet should be engaged. Just think about them. Remember that they're there. Allow them to interact with the floor, right? And this is good posture. And you can operate like this all day, every day. And I have standing desks in the practice because I don't want the team sitting. I want a healthy team because we have a big job. And I want to be healthy, so we don't have desks at the practice. We have standing stations where the team can do what they need to do in the best possible position. Okay, was this helpful? Awesome. You guys may have a seat. Thank you so much. So, all we need to do now is recap and wrap it up. So as a reminder, footwear is going to be a big deal for you guys. Do not be afraid to invest in yourselves. An investment in yourself is going to pay the best dividends moving forward. It'll pay more than a down payment on a house. It'll pay more than any kind of stock or bond. An investment you make in yourself and your own health will pay the best dividends, right? Just from a practical standpoint. The investment I made in myself to become a chiropractor has been the one that has paid me back the best. The investment I make in trying to be the best husband I can possibly be, and the best father, and to be as healthy as I can be for them and for everybody that I work with, those are the investments that pay off the best. So if it's got to be a new pair of shoes every 6 months, guys, it's just about a priority. The resources are always there. Just depends on how you want to utilize them. So footwear is a big deal. The second big deal is core work. Constantly developing a super strong core. Core strength, stability. Core work before your workout, and hit that at least 3 times a week. So huge. And then the last one is literally just the standing instruction, starting from the top and getting yourself into that best position. If you guys need any reminders about anything we talked about, you can feel free to DM me on social media. You can totally do that. You can find the videos yourself on social media. We've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. This looks more like an Instagram crowd to me, but I could be wrong. So you can absolutely go find those resources if you need reminders. And to close it out, I want to come back to that definition of health. And really, you guys were right on as soon as I asked you, right? If we take all that definition of health, health is multifaceted, right? So there's absolutely a physical part of health. We talked about that immediately, right? There's absolutely a mental part of health. We talked about that one immediately as well. But there's also an emotional part of health, right? There's a social component to our health. There's absolutely a financial component to our health, right? Health is basically everything. And health is a word that literally just means the measurement of our quality of life. It's as simple as that. So, every investment you make in your health, like I said, and as every part of your health does improve, so too will the quality of every aspect of your life, every single time. So thank you so much, everybody. I am available here for questions. I'm going to have a snack myself. If there was any of that stuff that I mentioned earlier, neurological related, headaches, migraines, numbness, tingling, that kind of stuff, if you want to get with me now to talk about it, that could be a deeper issue than just standing all day. So I'm absolutely open to having those conversations. And any other questions you guys have, just want to keep it casual and have a chat. Cool. Thanks. Grant, thank you. All right, well, I'm going to have a snack. I don't know about you guys.
So, I do have a random question.
I would love to hear it.
I constantly just randomly crack my back and stuff. I probably don't do it in the best way.
Yeah.
Smart way to do that without, or should I just go to the chiropractor? Just because I'm constantly just going like this, or laying down and doing that thing.
I do that too, but I go like this.
I know I'm always so cracky.
Yeah.
I'm always crack.
I could totally tell you.
I'm a pretty good cracker.
I could totally tell you to just not do it and have it be a blanket statement like that.
Yeah.
It's not that you're hurting your joints by doing it, right? If I crack my knuckles every 20 minutes for the rest of my life, I'm not going to get arthritis, right? My knuckles are going to be fine.
Cause a pocket of air to pop.
Yes and no, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, the thing about cracking your own back is there's a sensation within you that makes you feel like you need to do it, correct? What that is your spinal not rightness. So we have sensors in our body, they're called nociceptors. And these nociceptors are not pain receptors. They are not rightness receptors. Now, if enough nociceptors fire from one area, it could be perceived as pain, but that gets to your brain at a subconscious level. You're not consciously aware of it. What you're consciously aware of is you can kind of just get the sense that something's not right, you need to do something about it, right? So you move, twist, something pops, and then it feels good. When a joint pops or cavitates, and we're going to talk about what that is, right? Because a cavitation or a joint popping is gas exiting solution out of your joint fluid. So if we take two bones and we put them together and they move, that is a joint. A joint has a joint capsule that is pretty much sealed. And within that capsule is fluid. And your cartilage actually doesn't rub on itself, it floats on that fluid. When you pop your joints, you're creating a gap in that joint. And because it's a sealed container, the pressure inside the container changes. So just like opening a can of soda, all that carbonation isn't bubbles, it's just dissolved in the liquid because of the pressure of the canister. When the pressure is released, all that exits. So that's the exact same thing that's happening when you pop your joints. That cavitation always has a feel-good neurotransmitter and mini endorphin release along with it. So here's why popping your own back is not awesome. So let's say I've got a lot of segments, right? In your low back, you've got 5, right? Sacrum is another one. So you've got 5 segments in your low back, and let's just pretend L3, so the third one, is twisted. And your body's feeling that not rightness, you don't like it, and then it's causing you to have this sensation to pop your own back. Okay, well, a subluxated joint, one that's stuck, not moving the right way, is biomechanically and pathologically stuck. Or it's misaligned, or it's a combination of both, misaligned and not moving. Well, because it's stuck, you can't move it. And so as you're popping your own back, all of the healthy joints are popping. So you're getting the neurotransmitter effect, you're getting the endorphin release, but what you're not getting is the subluxation corrected. And so that's why 20 minutes later you feel like you gotta do it again, right? So that joint that's there that's dysfunctional, that is sitting there not moving and rotting away, is never being addressed. And so the reason why chiropractors tell you not to pop your own back isn't because the actual popping is bad, but ignoring subluxations is. And then on top of that, you can easily create a hypermobility type of situation. So when you finally do get to a chiropractor, it gets to be very challenging for your chiropractor.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So my suggestion is if you feel like you need to stretch, stretch. If you hear pops and clicks by accident, don't ever stress it. But if you're chasing after those pops and clicks, there's probably something deeper going on that should probably be looked at by a professional, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay, that was a great one. Any others?
You know, I still want to crack my neck and back probably every single minute of the day.
He was talking about it, I'm really sitting here trying not to crack my neck right
Yeah,
now.
I'm
I'm like,
just
don't
like-
do it, don't do
I
it.
walk into his office and I have to try to not crack myself before I lay on the table. Cause I'm like, I get there and then I'm like, oh, it just, I don't know.
It's
So
just the
I feel like
perfect table
mentally,
to crack on.
I just mentally, I'm like, I'm relaxed. I'm like, okay, it's the perfect time. Then I'm like, wait. That's what I'm here for. Someone else to do it.
And in the right
Crazy.
spots.
Absolutely.
That's what really separates a good chiropractor from a great chiropractor, is figuring out exactly what joint needs to move. Any trained monkey can get pops and clicks out of a spine. I could teach you to do it in about 30 seconds. You can do it yourself, right? Any trained monkey can do that. The great chiropractors are the ones that can really figure out, okay, this is the one joint. This is the one. So like, you know, C2. This is the one that's causing the headaches. This is the one that's causing the migraines. And I'm going to rotate that one. And then everything improves. That's the difference.
Is it true that if you go to the chiropractor, you have to keep going or everything starts to hurt again?
I mean, you'll never want to stop going. I can tell you that. Because
Yeah.
It improves the quality of your life. For me, personally, I don't want to stop going. So.
That's
all I gotta say.
that's the best answer. I'll piggyback off of that one.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a client and he's 100 pounds overweight. And together we start working and we change his diet and we change his exercise. So he's going to the gym every day, he's eating clean, healthy, and meal prepping. Does he have to keep doing that or the weight will come back?
Well, not necessarily.
So you think that this guy that was 100 pounds overweight can stop going to the gym, stop exercising,
Well, not-
stop eating right, and that he's gonna be fine?
No, but you have to do it as much to maintain it.
Absolutely. It's way easier to maintain something than it is to build it or to recover it, right? So like if somebody comes to me as a patient and they're like, listen, I don't have any problems whatsoever. I just want maintenance care. I'm like, cool, how often do you want to be here? If somebody comes to me and they're like, listen, I can't get out of bed and I can't walk, is that going to be a different care plan? Yeah, for sure. And is that person going to come every single day for the rest of his life? No. Eventually, we're going to try to get to once a week, right? But in the beginning, it's going to be super intense because it's a bloody, screaming crisis that just got dropped at the practice doorstep. But for a kid, you know, most of our kids are on care plans that look like once every 2 weeks, once a month, right? Most of my wellness patients are once a week because that's just like what they like. So maintenance is way different from like recovery. Absolutely. And no, you don't have to go to the chiropractor for the rest of your life, but you should. Because if you have a spine, right? If you have a spine and you want to take care of it and you want it to last for you, you've got to take care of it.
Right.
The same way you don't just go to the dentist one time and you've got a cavity and you're like, all right, got that over with. No, you go for cleanings. You brush and floss every single day, twice a day, hopefully, right? And you go to the dentist often to maintain your teeth. You go to the gym often to maintain your physicality, right? You eat well often so you can be healthy long term. It's a lifestyle. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you.
I've
Absolutely.
never been to the chiropractor ever.
Yeah.
So, and
I
should.
haven't been at all. I mean, really, before I like to a good one. I went to the walking chiropractic like one time, and I was sketched out. I'm like, never do this again. Well, she cracked my neck, and I'm like, you don't know anything about me or my life. You didn't do X-rays, and I was like, it just seemed
Not as professional.
right. Like I wasn't going to get the continued care that I needed. So, Callie had asked how I came across Dr. Marco, and I went to a Health and Wellness Expo. And that's kind of where I came across you guys. And at the time, I was already like kind of like wanting to find a chiropractor, and I did not think there'd be a chiropractor there. I assumed it would mostly be like, you know, Reiki and like crystal healing and that kind of like, you know, like supplement health, that kind of stuff. But it was really nice to see that because I prefer to maintain my health in like this kind of way instead of like, you know, I'm not a pharmaceutical person, so I think like this like really has helped me. Like I, even if I have a headache, I hate taking like pharmaceuticals, which I really don't have anymore, which I'm so thankful for. And also, my mom, I went to a baseball game the other day with my mom, and she's like, "How are your allergies not way worse?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm telling you, you gotta do all these things." I'm like, "Listen, the bee pollen." I'm like, the bee pollen is so helpful.
Yeah. Bee pollen, the honey is awesome.
Yeah.
Not having an inflammatory lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Because if your immune system's already walking around like ready to fight, the pollen hits and it's just like insane. But if your body's like chill, it's just like, oh, pollen. Okay, well this is annoying,
Yeah.
right? That's it.
That's how I felt.
Right,
Yeah.
Why did I turn my windshield wipers on this morning? But like, I don't have any windshield wiper fluid in there, so
Oh,
it's
no,
just
it was
pollen.
just dust.
I think there's like dust flying everywhere.
I love that.
I'm like, it's like
so
powder
Anthem Blue
flying
Cross
off
Blue
my
Shield.
window.
Mhm.
It's my insurance.
I too.
I haven't been to chiropractor since I broke my collarbone, which was years ago.
I broke my collarbone. Which one?
My left.
Same.
So when I was in the sling and the butterfly, my doctor was like, "You should probably go to the chiropractor for a little bit." And then after
Your
that,
doctor said that?
Yeah. Well, once
What
I
a
was healed.
wise
Once I
soul.
was healed.
That's amazing.
But-
There are so few like medical doctors out there that
Suggest
refer to a
something like that.
Oh yeah,
chiropractor.
like they straight up told me
Those
like, hey,
chicken
like you
heads.
should like your back is gonna be messed up after like being like this for like 3 months. Like you should go to a chiropractor. Like,
Wow.
That was last time. I was like 12. So.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is really cool. But yeah, we do take Anthem.
Did she tell you who broke her collarbone?
Well, I was gonna ask about the story. Like on purpose?
Oh, we were
It's like,
playing at football.
Oh, okay.
And it was 2 in touch, and I was 12. My dad's a big dude, so 2 in touch into a ditch and. Broke my, which is funny because when he was 12, he broke his left collarbone too. So whenever it rains, we're both like, "Is it raining?" You feel the pressure.
yeah. Yeah, I don't. Mine doesn't tell me it's raining.
It's only when it's like big storm, like a lot of like,
Uh-huh.
air pressure change. Like I start. It's not like, oh, it's raining. It's just like I can feel
Yeah, 'cause my
like
neck's
something
like
that's
this.
sitting right here.
It goes like back like this.
I crashed a motorcycle.
But it's
that's-
always been that's always cool.
It would have been cooler if I didn't crash. Yeah.
At least you're alive.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's why it's like you gotta
Right.
So, are you in nursing school? Or are you a nurse?
I work as I'm a patient care representative. So it's like I work with insurance.
Oh, God,
co-pays,
I'm sorry.
checking in. A lot of old people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was working full time here, and now I work part time here, just like weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, tell you what you do is like so needed because nobody understands their policy, right?
I
Because
still
they,
barely don't.
because well,
Like,
dude,
I still
they write them that way.
Yeah.
They write the policy confusing so that nobody knows.
Right.
Like I have a whole billing department, right? And they don't know.
Right. I just make people sign papers. I'm just like, okay, you sign this paper. I put it in the system, and pay this amount, and then we're good to go.
And then good luck.
Yeah. Hope you don't
Having
get a
a
bill.
coordinator for that is probably very helpful.
Yeah, but people argue with me all the time. Like this one lady, she just started yelling at me. She was like, "This paper says I might get a copay and this and that." I said, "Yes, emphasis on might, might."
Emphasis on might.
Not in your situation, but this is a paper that everybody signs. It's just, it's generality.
Disclosure.
Right? Yeah.
You know, it's like you might, you may not. We don't
Yeah.
know.
She refused to sign the paper.
Well, what can you do?
Right.
What can you do?
But at my job, I sit a lot. It's mostly sitting, and I get very tired of sitting. It's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I have to like get up every 30 minutes and take a walk because
Good.
I get very bored. I like to be active.
You
And-
should probably check out Fit While You Sit.
What's that?
Another one of my workshops, just to help you sit the most right way.
All right.
Yeah, but it's there. If you like, I know you will find it on Facebook.
Mhm.
You might find it on Instagram, but it's there.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Cool. Any other great questions? Okay, perfect. I'm gonna pack it up.
Fantastic.
Maureen, thank you.
No, thank you.
Wait, what's the name of your business called?
Accordo Chiropractic.
A coral?
Accordo?
A quarter.
Yes, Accordo Chiropractic. Yep, ACCORDO.